Go.
Tangled in a web, I call it life inside my head, becoming blurred by so much said. I'm in too deep waters I tread, can't catch my breath. A shadow chasing me, a game of hide and seek. If hell now have a
All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Deconversion Stories, and today we have the lovely Glenda Jordan is with us, who's a volunteer for recovering from religion, and also a model and a dancer and an artist and a feminist and a yada yada.
So many
Get
labels.
it.
Do you have any time for yourself? That's what I want to know.
That's actually all I do is just be a sack of shit on the couch and play video games most of the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot gamer too. That's right. You're a gamer too. And
yes, I have a lot of time to myself. Yes, I'm an entertainer, but as you know, the pandemic created a lot of opportunity for us entertainers to have nothing to do for a long time. So
yeah, that's why I do this. I don't have to go anywhere. So, anyways, welcome to the show, Glenda.
thank you.
You know what we do here. We chat with people about their journeys away from whatever faith systems or belief systems they're once a part of. And kind of like you to take us back to the beginning times, the before times, and kind of take us on that journey of how you ultimately found your way out and became a volunteer for recovering from religion, because you and I did that little fundraiser thing a little while
Which
back.
is another. We got our second one coming up April 1st.
Yeah. I'm going to get involved with that as well.
Yes, me too. I'm super excited. Right. So I, as you've introduced me, my name is Glenda. I grew up on a farm just south of Nashville, Tennessee, and I was indoctrinated into Dominionist evangelical Southern Baptist faith from birth.
Sounds like a party.
And each of those words, let me go over those real quick. Dominionist, a lot of Christians are dominionists and they don't realize what that word is or understand what dominionism means. It just means that God's law above all law. So you vote based on your faith. Like it doesn't, there is no live and let live. Like, okay, well, I don't believe in gay marriage, but that's just for my own faith. It's like, no, you want a theocracy. Like that's
Right.
what theocrats, that's dominionism, is your faith as the law for everybody else. Evangelical, of course, means you have to spread the word of God. You're given the Great Commission. You got to save people from burning in hell. And then Southern Baptist is just a sect of Christianity. No drinking, pretty standard conservative stuff. Not quite fundamentalist. We were allowed to wear pants, which was really radical.
You lost me at the no drinking part, but anyway.
Well, it wasn't even anything, I just, in some ways, I'm sure that there are a lot of people like, damn, I sure wish I could have grown up in a house where my parents didn't struggle with substance abuse like that, like alcohol abuse.
Yeah,
and
I get that. Sure.
I listen, I'm like, I get it. So I just didn't grow up with it. But it was never really made that big of a deal in church. But yeah, so I was raised that. And then I left the faith. I officially called myself an atheist at 19 was how old I was. And it started from, it's such a long journey. I don't even know where to start on what first.
Maybe some highlights or something. And I have a quick question though. You said Dominionist, and immediately I thought you were from the Gamma Quadrant. So
I don't have it on this wall, but over here I've got some Star Trek art.
Awesome.
Yeah, hella Star
Apparently,
Trek.
season 3 of Picard's going to be pretty.
I actually have a little
and DS9 and a bunch of different books.
I'm so excited. I actually wear, I don't full-time go-go dance anymore, but when I did, I have a communicator that I wear on my bra strap. And only the hardcore nerds can see it. Like, oh, it's a Star Trek universe. You know, most of them don't.
You
Yeah,
say
I
go
was.
dance, and I get tired. And I like that's just some serious shit right there.
I was 8-hour shifts and stilettos. Doesn't sound great.
Oh no, I just want to go to sleep now.
I just finished. You know, New Year's Eve work week is like the busiest week, and I finally have a couple days. Like I'm done because I was booked pretty much solid. Yeah, I had like 12. Oh, there's my mother. Oh, you wanted to ask how I got involved with recovering from religion. Nepotism. That's how I got involved.
Nepotism. Yeah, works every time.
Okay. Where to begin with church was our entire life. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Act Teens, GA, Discipleship Now. Pretty much, let me close that window. Sorry, that was me. GA's, Act Teens, Discipleship Now, Young Life, like every Christian youth thing. It was like the heyday of 90s youth culture. So like Carmen and Audio Adrenaline, and I don't know if you know like any like Christian music. It was just VeggieTales.
Audio Adrenaline, I know. Yeah.
Staple.
Oh, God,
yeah, all of it. Like all of it. Just that was there really wasn't life outside of church. But I grew up on a farm. Like my home life was incredible, and it was, you know, my parents are amazing. So I didn't have the same fundy experience as other kids, like I think in my church or in my faith did. You know, like we were allowed to read Harry Potter. Now my church made it clear that they were not okay with it.
Me too.
It was satanic, evil. It's inviting demons in your life, yada, yada, yada. But like my family.
Never had to deal with that myself. Never had to deal with that.
Okay. So we talked about it on RFRX last night, and I've mentioned it before. The whole concept about, and I'll get into this like as I talk about like me devolving out of my faith. A lot of Christians, ex-evangelicals, struggle with like residual fear of demons, or when they were in the faith, it's really big fear of demons. I wanted to encounter demons. Aggressively wanted to because
come get me, you horned bastards.
It would have proved to me that God was real.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it would have eliminated a lot of my stress, because if I had just had some sort of encounter, because all of my proof of God was just your internal feelings, which became a big struggle for me as I like got older, and I'm praying and I can only hear myself in my head, and like I don't.
Do you feel like you needed to have something to confirm other things that you believe to be true, to know that they were true? You need evidence except for this whole God thing? You just were like, okay, I'm just on board with that?
Yeah, like for me, it would have been if I would have like encountered a demon, we're like, oh, it's all real then. All of it's real. Magic is like, you know, the God's real, spirit's
get
real,
out.
demons real, it's done. Great. Awesome. Let's go. Like I didn't have fear. I didn't have that kind of fear, but so probably
of course not. You were, bathed in the blood of Jesus, so you'd be okay, right?
Nothing but the blood of
Ew.
Jesus. I know, I could do all of them. It's such a cringe fest. So
even when I was younger, the blood stuff, I was like, but blood?
So
you
much
can say like
blood,
holy light, nothing.
Drowning in blood, bathing in blood, covering the blood anointed all over you.
Put this blood on you. I'm like, you shouldn't have that like from person to person. That's just not.
One of these days, I'm just going to have some red paint with me and just start splattering it everywhere. I'm covered in the blood of Jesus.
Yeah, that's weird.
So probably, as I got older, like preteens, I was a very smart child. I came from a very academic family, encouraged us very much to like, we were one of those obnoxious AR readers getting ridiculous amount of points each month of like, I can read all the books, I can smash all the documentaries. Like,
are you talking about accelerated reader program,
Yes.
which was the greatest program of all time?
It was the greatest thing.
Dude,
ever.
You can't assign point values to books. Kids will go bonkers. I read like 3 billion books just because I wanted to get like a gift certificate for a personal pan fucking pepperoni pizza from Pizza Hut because I read all these books.
Did you ever do the thing where like you saved all the tests for Harry Potter for like 1 month?
I was already out of the program when Harry Potter came out.
Okay, because they counted like 40 points each or something because they were huge chapter books.
Well, they didn't know about books on tape. So when I came in and I had done like Moby Dick in like a week, they're like, "You read that?" I was like, I'm like, "Yeah, give me the test. Let's see if I read it." And then I would fucking nail it because I've been listening to it going to bed every night.
Right. I was always reading, I was always reading like 5 grades above my level and that kind of thing. So I had a very, very academic family, big emphasis on like learning and critical thinking, despite being in the church. There was, obviously mental gymnastics and some cognitive dissonance. So
sure. Yeah.
I was getting into preteens and I started to have some major ideological struggles with Noah's Ark. The story of Job really got me. Like, couldn't fucking get over it. It was so, and I could because there's no answer that's satisfying. You're asking your Sunday school teacher, like, okay, why though? And there's, God works in mysterious ways. His ways are higher than ours. If we could understood it, then he wouldn't be God. Blah blah blah. And that, and then the story of Lot and his daughters really got me fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know about it growing like this. It's always like background noise in your mind. Like you hear these stories, about it in the church, but really like the first time you're truly learning the lesson deeply in Sunday school, they usually save that for like middle school age. And turning his wife turning into a pillar of salt, and none of this, just so you know, none of my qualms with any of this has to do with breaking the laws of physics. Like, it was magic to me. Once one thing, magic is real, it's all real. Like, the physics not working didn't bother me at all. It was all about like the ethical conundrums that they presented to me. Like I said, Lot and his daughters, and thinking, I'm 13 years old and I'm picturing my father offering me up to be gang raped by a crowd, and he's the holy man.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
And like trying to come to terms with that. Like, how is this okay? Like, this is like, how is this? I can't. And the Job
there
thing
is no coming to terms with something like that. That's just, it's
none. Right. And so you just get that frustration. It's a snowball effect. It just builds and it builds and it builds. And then when I was 15, 16, freshman year of high school, I had a dear friend of mine who dropped dead of cardiac arrest on the track field. The same thing that pretty much the same thing that football player who just is, I don't know, I don't do sports ball. Okay, that guy. Pretty much the same thing, dropped dead. This is before they had defibrillators on fields now. There's a reason why that they're in those areas now. And he was just as much of a youth culture Christian as we were. He's really like adamant about his faith. And, we had been like best friends since kindergarten. So it was really traumatic and really awful. And I had a resurgence of faith after his death. And that resurgence of faith came with like, I have to dedicate myself to Christianity as much as I am possibly able to. And that means becoming as Christ-like as possible, which means from my interpretation, it was kindness and grace and compassion, humility, altruism, and sacrifice. So I had like a Vulcan logic problem to work out in my brain about what that meant. And I remember like when the thought first came to my head, I immediately rejected it because I said, no, that's really stressful and I don't want to do that. But it kept nagging at me. I grew up on a farm and I love animals and I'm obsessed with them and they're my whole life. I decided that I needed to become a vegetarian because I knew as a privileged person in America or whatever, but I had access to like all of these foods that I knew I could survive as vegetarian, healthy, and be strong and healthy. You just do. Like, it's not like you only have 3 things to eat. You've got the entire grocery store. This was kind of like, right around when I can't remember when Inconvenient Truth came out, but like the Green Movement was getting some traction, so it was more of a thing for people, you know, go Meatless Monday or go vegetarian. And I remember like having this really intense spiritual battle with myself on what am I going to do and what are my options. And for me, the only option was like, well, you know, it's about self-sacrifice. Like my own personal feelings don't matter. My own personal desires are not important. You sacrifice for the greater good. You inconvenience yourself for the greater good. And so this was like months of praying and reading the Bible and trying to figure out how I was going to approach this. And I truly did want to choose compassion and mercy at every possible avenue of my life, because that is what Jesus wanted me to do. And that's what I knew I should do if I was going to be a good Christian. And so after all of this, I came to the church with like, hey, like, I'm going to choose to abstain from meat because there's this level of suffering that is involved with factory farming. And another thing about growing up on the farm, I knew what factory farming was. Like it's ecologically, it's horrific. Like if we're going to eat meat, it needs to be like grass-fed, free range, more natural.
A lot of that up here.
Right. And I was met after this revelation, after all this soul searching of like, I want to be the best Christian I can possibly fucking be. I was met with a level of like mocking and derision and bullying from the like my elders in the church. Like I was at a
what were they mocking you for?
Huh?
What were they mocking you for?
Because I was a vegetarian.
Oh.
Because like, oh, the poor little animals, like literally in that type of voice to me. I was at a youth trip and I did not ask to be accommodated at all. Like I would pack my own food. I bring my own ingredients. I would like have a little corner in the kitchen. I'd cook for myself. Like I did not ask to be accommodated at all. And I had like made some couscous or some bullshit or something. And the pastors, it was like his brother-in-law, I think. He was one of the youth leaders, literally followed me around the cabin because we were at some like youth retreat, whatever. Like, oh, the poor little food, it had to die for you, and like literally in that mocking voice. And I was bullied relentlessly in school. Like I was made fun of all the time. I was the number one freak in my in class. I was bullied all the time. And then now I'm facing it like from my peers in the church. And I ended up like turning around and like screaming at them because I was so upset about it. And then like realizing, having this epiphany then, it was like 15, 16, about, wow,
that was a long time ago.
Wow, like, all of this is bullshit. And all of you are so fucking full of shit. Like, all of the posturing about like mercy and grace and compassion and kindness and love, like it's all bullshit. And this was, for me, this was the canary in the coal mine for like Trump era republicanism, right? Like, everyone going, I can't believe my neighbor's such an asshole. I knew him for this long. And all of a sudden he's voting for Trump. It's like, yeah, because they're full of shit when they say like, oh, I believe in like respecting other people and like education. Like it's, and I remember thinking
except
like
that damn evolution class.
Like I am a child. I'm a teenager and I have more maturity. Like you're the same level of immaturity as the bullies in my class. Like you're supposed to be like my elders, my theological leaders, and your children. You're just like petulant, ignorant little assholes. And I remember like, that was just like a big moment of, I don't want to be a part of this. If this is the level of like cruelty and derision and like, it would have been different if maybe like, oh, well, I don't personally agree with this, but I do see how you came to that conclusion. And I really applaud you for being so dedicated to your faith and to your studies of becoming more Christ-like. Like I never had that.
Right.
It was all about like dumb little libtard who cares about animals. Wah. So
wow.
I know it was. And so it was just like this big, and I'm still a vegetarian, by the way. I'm a hardcore vegetarian. Like I've been, it's been, I don't know how many years, 2004.
Oh, it's just a phase.
It's just a phase.
18 years later.
18 years
just
later.
a phase.
And it was that, and it was everything like culminating to be this explosive, just like it just all came falling apart. Another one of the values, self-sacrifice. Like, I was a charismatic person. I'm really smart. I know I could be a good leader. Like, I need to be a leader in the church, and women were not allowed to be in a position higher than a man in the theology. Like, you're not allowed to be a pastor. And I knew I would make a good one. and then facing that idea of like because I was assigned female at birth, like, I am spiritually less relevant than my male peers. And then I would look to my male peers in the church, like the dudes I was in church with who were my age, and they were fucking dickheads. Like, and I was so much more dedicated than they were. I knew more about the Bible. I was Bible drill champion. I was just like, I was a type A personality, crushed everything. And yet they have more spiritual relevance in the church than me or whatever. Like, and I didn't, anyway, so dealing with like misogyny and sexism and the rape culture of like all the stories in the Bible was so gross and so hard for me to come to terms with. Don't
ever come to terms with that shit.
Ever come to terms with. And I wasn't, I got over homophobia by the time I was in like 7th grade. So that's, I knew I knew there wasn't anything wrong with being gay. I knew that.
Of course.
And I didn't come out as queer myself until like way later. But so theologically, like, I am at odds with everything that my church is like, gay. It was not okay to be gay. Anyway. And like recycling, also like how conservative my church was. Like, recycling was a satanic conspiracy to
recycling.
Yes. The words out of the mouth on Earth Day and recycling and environmentalism is like satanic conspiracy to turn people away from Jesus.
Of course.
And I was a burgeoning environmentalist because I grew up on a fucking farm. So I was like, what about nature do you not like? Like, why don't I happen to like these trees and grass and clean air and water. Do y'all not do that shit either? Like, it's pretty rad. And then in church, you couldn't care about that because it was, and we know what it is now. It's like damn dirty libtard bullshit, right? It's the Trump Republicans, the conservative, like, that's libtard stuff. Therefore bad. Democrats care about recycling, and I'm not one of those. Like, it was, that all happened within a pretty short period of time. And then I went to college and I went to art school. So that was, I was on my way out the church, right? Like, I was ready to like totally walk away. And then as soon as you get a little bit of that separation, you're like, God, the church fucking sucks and Christianity sucks. And I don't want to be one anymore. And then I am out and I'm in college and, feeling so liberated mentally. Do you know that Ingersoll quote about I fearlessly faced all worlds?
Bob Ingersoll?
Okay, would you like for me to read it to you?
Yes, please.
When I became convinced that the universe is natural, that all the ghosts and gods are myths, there entered into my brain, into my soul, into every drop of my blood, the sense, the feeling, the joy of freedom. The walls of my prison crumbled and fell. The dungeon was flooded with light, and all the bolts and bars and manacles became dust. I was no longer a servant, a serf, or a slave. There was no master for me, all in the wide world, not even an infinite space. I was free to think, to express my thoughts, to live for my own ideal, for myself and those that I loved. I was free. I stood erect and fearlessly, joyously faced all worlds. And the quote's a lot longer than that, actually. There's a lot more about like free from devils and gods and ghosts. And there was no prohibited realms of thought, no air, no space, no where fancy could not spread her painted wings.
Anyway. I'm going to find that.
It's Robert Ingersoll, and that quote really, like, that was leaving the faith for me. It was so liberating. But it's different. Leaving religion is different for everybody. But for me, especially as like a young woman and as a feminist, it was like fucking liberating. I made sure to pull it out so that we could see it. This is my purity card. There's my name. Incomplete with, by the way, like 3 typos in their card.
Not surprised.
This was in public school, by the way. This was not, I had an abstinence only course in church, but this was from my public taxpayer paid school. They have Christians come in and do abstinence courses with us.
Oh, good.
This was my Bible.
Oh, sweet.
All my, like, my notes and writing. Like, I was dedicated, okay? And I also had, I want to say this one story about this, like, moment not too long after I left the faith, where I almost had like a moment of doubt about leaving the faith. I was living in Paris, and I was at the Notre Dame Cathedral, and I was sitting in there. And have you ever been inside a cathedral or Notre Dame?
Yes, I have.
It's really impressive, right? It's super intense. Like, it's an incredibly beautiful, intense building.
Are there a lot of hunchbacks?
Yes.
I saw the documentary from Disney. I just wondered.
It is profound. Like, cathedrals are profound. Like, thinking about like when they were built with the time. So, because I was in art school and studying art history, so I was in there, and I had this moment. I had been out of the faith for like a year-ish, a little over a year, and I remember sitting there thinking, like, is it truly all bullshit? All of these people have like labored and worked and died and spent their whole lives dedicated to an idea that is not true. And that's hard to come to terms with. It's hard to come to terms with the sunk cost of how many billions of lives have been dedicated to superstition and bullshit and
continue to.
And continue to be. And I was feeling like
in today's day and age, that blows me away.
Like, overwhelming anxiety about this. Like, saying, like, oh my God, like, how is this like possibly Hecate? Like, all of this is truly bullshit. And this is there's nothing. And that is truly for no reason. And I remember feeling like so much stress and anxiety about that. But then as I was walking out of the church, I had on my headphones because I, have to listen to music all the time. And a song came on from, it's one of my favorite movies. It's from the 1998 or 9 version of Midsummer Night's Dream. Have you ever seen it? It's got like Stanley Tucci, Callista Flockhart, guy who plays Batman.
Anyway, I drank a lot back then.
So there's like a scene where they're going into like the fairy realm, and there's this really cool music that's playing. And I, at this point, had already attended some fantasy events, like cool. I don't know if you've ever heard of like Fairy Worlds or Fairy Con, but like almost like Renfest, but like way cooler. And that was one of the most liberating experiences, because I attended when I was still in the church. So it was kind of just like, oh my God, it was so subversive because it was all like fantasy and magic, which
do you have to go with like paper bag over your head or something so that no one
because like my parents didn't have a problem with it. Like, and my mother was always really supportive. So it wasn't like, our home life was not oppressive. And in that single instance, I remembered all of that joy and liberation of being so free, because my church, like, the assholes in my church, like, tighter than a snare drum. Like, there was no part of my church was that it was you couldn't really fabricate a more like emotionally restrictive environment. Like, we were not a church that there was no speaking in tongues. If you did like praise hands, like, this is as like high as you could go. Potentially too, but there was none of this. Like, it was just seen as too much, too dramatic. That's too much. It's too emotional.
You're embarrassing the Lord.
You're embarrassing. That's I mean, like, as like, think of it like as square wasp culture as possible. And I was a very expressive feral gremlin my entire life, so it was impressive to be in that environment, and the feeling of joy and liberation of being able to like just dance around when I want to and say what I want and think what I want to think and be free and be liberated, and also not have to worry about like modesty, because I don't like wearing a lot of clothes, and it has nothing to do with my own sexuality. It's that I don't like wearing a lot of clothes, and being sexualized at a young age by the church. Like, you're like 12 and you're not allowed to wear a two-piece, you got to find like a two-piece, you got to find a one-piece bikini or swimsuit because it's too sexy for you to wear a two-piece swimsuit when you haven't even hit puberty yet. And how is that my problem and not dudes' problems?
That's right.
But that kind of like mind fuck.
I think it was Professor Houston established. I can't even get through this. I can do it. Hold on. It was Professor Houston who quoted once, "I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel that heat with somebody who loves me." And I don't think that those words can be taken out of context in any way.
Well, and like dance too, getting into the performance. I started performing before I left high school. I started learning circus arts, and I was always in theater and stuff like that. And then when I was in college is when I started doing like shows and gigs and stuff. And going to my first shows, like an EDM show or whatever, it was probably the shittiest techno music at the shittiest dive bar, whatever, but it felt so euphoric. And if you know anything about the psychology, we have a lot of great RFRX talks about the psychology of why religion affects people the way it does, and the methods that faiths employ. And there's a reason why people feel euphoria in church, because of the group singing and the group dance and group motion. It literally taps into your lizard brain and generates those chemicals that give you a sense of euphoria. So when you experience that outside of the faith, you go, oh, okay, so all the time that I felt like the spirit of God was in me, it was just because like your caveman brain is like, group dance good. Like, yes, I like live music. Hooray. That's, I want to sit and listen to someone tell a story because it's ingrained in our brains to enjoy that process.
Yeah, versus sitting around the fire.
And then actually being able to literally sing and dance around a fire in a more like pagan environment. And when I say pagan, I mean like I use that term. There was no supernatural element for me. It was, when I say that, I just mean like a whole bunch of like other LARPing fantasy nerds in costume dancing around a fire in the forest. Like, this is the greatest shit ever. And I don't ever want to be back in a worship service ever again.
Yeah, I've done the dancing in the woods around the fire multiple times here. We have
it's great.
A little park here called Pacific Spirit Park, and a lot of that stuff happened up there. This back in the 90s and stuff too, when I was much more active, I guess we'll say.
The 1790s?
Yes, that's right. The 1790s. That's right. Apostasy popped in to say hi.
Hi, Apostasy. She spoke last night on RFRX. We just had her last night.
She's great. She lives in my neck of the woods, actually.
Yay! She had a wonderful talk. It'll be uploaded. I don't know, Stacey. I don't know when it's going to be uploaded to YouTube. My talk still hasn't been uploaded. We're very behind, but promise it will be eventually on YouTube. Your talk. It was great. It really, really was good.
So, besides you telling us that it was nepotism that got you into recovering from religion, like you basically do it with them like weekly. You do stuff with them.
I do weekly. I am the official troll stomper for RFR. I help moderate we have a weekly meeting called RFRX, which is just a lecture series. We do any and all topics related to like faith, mental health, all just sociology, all those things, and I remove trolls, and there are many. Not religious trolls. Sure. Just to clarify, like these aren't these. We don't
trolls
have
are trolls, regardless of that.
Yeah, these are Zoom trolls. They don't give a shit what the actual topic of the Zoom meeting is. All they want to do is get into a Zoom meeting and show whatever on the video, whatever child sex abuse media or animals getting dismembered or people getting unalived or whatever. That's what they choose to show. Yes, and I've done this for 2 years now, whatever. So it is my job to remove them as fast as possible. There's a lot of porn. Boring.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's back up a step.
Yeah.
How are they able to share their screen? Like, what's
they
going
can't
on
share their
here?
screen. They use OBS software to OBS software to change their video feed. So you only see it if you're if you've chosen when you're if you're a Zoom attendee, if you've chosen not to see everybody gallery view, if you just want to have speaker view, you'll never see that. But if you have gallery view and you can see all the cameras, they come in, and then if they do the raise hand feature, it pops their video up to the top so that everyone will see it. We have every security feature turned on that we can while keeping it public. People can't unmute themselves. They can't share their screen. They can't rejoin the meeting after I've kicked them out. They can't change their name while they're in there, all of those things. But we do want the meeting to be accessible to people. So there's no password, you just go in, and then they'll, spam the chat with slurs. How creative. Anyway, and I smash them.
That's good.
There's, it's, and I spent in the rest of the week, I am on Twitter reporting, because that's where they network, is usually on, they have Discord servers, but they network on Twitter.
You're on Twitter?
No, I say I'm on Twitter. I have a Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. I have one so that I can go in, report Zoom trolls, make my reports. I don't tweet anything. Sorry.
Okay. I always do a thank you tweet after these shows.
Oh, yes, technically I have.
Just give me your Twitter name and I can add that to the thank you tweet.
I have the same screen name across all of my social media. It's Calliope Hoop, the CALLIOPEHOOP, Calliope Hoop.
Okay.
It's my stage name. I don't use it really, but that was my stage name when I first started performing.
Mikey Famine is my stage name.
That's right.
Yeah, you just and then it's just easy to have it as the same screen name across all of your accounts. It just makes it convenient.
Right. Neil the 604 is actually on my birth certificate now. So.
Correct. Wow, that is his real name.
No, I'm kidding. It's not my real name.
I did. You could change it.
Apparently, my name was if I'm to believe my biological folks, but apparently my name was going to be Kevin.
You look like you could have been a Kevin.
You'd be a shitty Kevin.
What does that even mean?
You're definitely a Neil.
I'm a Neil now, yeah. But yeah, they were going to call me Kevin.
I wouldn't work with you if your name was Kevin.
Kevin DeRozier.
Oh,
That's a really beautiful last name.
DeRozier? Yeah, it's a good one. But yeah, so I was thinking if the band ever got popular, I'd probably use that as my stage name, Kevin DeRozier.
You just go DeRoge or something.
The Roge.
But yeah, I do. I started working. I was just kind of when I started moderating RFRX, because that started in the pandemic, and then I did it for a while before I was technically an official volunteer, and then I did the official volunteer process, the application, where you have to get interviewed, and actually Anthony Magnabosco was the one who interviewed me.
Oh, great dude.
Oh God, the best. I cannot recommend street epistemology enough. It will change your life. It has truly changed the way that I'm able to have conversations with people and think reflexively about my own ideas. And I just can't recommend street epistemology enough. Thank you, Anthony Magnabosco. You're a treasure. Then I started just doing it full time. And I also I go to the excursion and I help with the recovering from religion when we hold our fall excursions. But yes, it's nepotism because my mommy is the director.
Right. Yeah, that I knew. I had your mom on quite a while back, actually.
Oh, really? You know what? I didn't. I thought I tried to check to see if she had talked on there. You have a lot of guests, though. You got a lot of big names. I just watched Seth's talk.
Oh yeah, it says that was back when I was, in the beginning stage, in the before time.
Baby Neil.
Yeah, baby Neil. Yeah, I was a pretty big baby, anyways. Apparently, 10 pounds or some shit. So when I came out, it went. That was it. The place quaked, and
the legs on the gurney were like, ugh.
yeah.
But yeah, RFR is fucking phenomenal, and there's a lot of secular, humanist, atheist orgs out there, but there is a reason why pretty much everyone gets sent our way. Is because we are killing it. I just being involved for a few years now with it. It's just a very specific resource that we provide, and it is every day. It's just so needed. The resource is so needed for so many, and we're just expanding more and more. And I may or may not make it, but there's a potential that I'm going to Australia in February because RFR is doing a big thing in Australia. It's just a really important org, and we definitely change people's lives. And I fully believe in it and support it. And it just I've had so many of my own personal friends private message me seeking out the resources, like, hey, I know you work for, I've had a friend who survived conversion therapy and we've got a specific online community for conversion therapy survivors.
That's awesome.
But it's just it's so needed. The resource in religious trauma, like RTS, is still slow to be recognized, I feel like, in a lot of ways from psychological communities. But you know what? TikTok has really helped with that, on people sharing their religious experiences on TikTok, of these videos going viral of I grew up in a cult and this is what it was like, and just more people becoming aware of,
I'm finding more and more people on TikTok, and I'm sort of putting out feelers on TikTok now to have folks come on here. So
right. Are you going to go to American Atheists in April?
Where is it at?
It's in Phoenix this year.
Oh, that's not so bad.
And it's right by me. It's right in my neighborhood.
Phoenix. I'm gonna have to
Is it
bring
warm there?
I'll have to bring my Speedo.
It will be.
Nobody wants to see me in a Speedo, man.
100% beaver tail.
Last American Atheist, we had a whole panel that was it was the atheist TikTokers.
Oh yeah. I've had a few on. Don't get me wrong. I've already had quite a few on. Heathen Queen was probably the first TikToker I had on.
Well, and just being able to get out, I when I moved to Vegas, packed up my minivan and my cat, and then I drove out here, and I didn't have a place to live, and I didn't have a job. I'm I'm going to run away and join the circus. And I did. When I moved out here, it's West Coast life. And I found
I'm
that
West Coaster too.
These people do not understand what it is like in the South when it comes to religion, or the Midwest. I tried to relay concepts or experiences of what I had growing up, and it just blew their mind. They couldn't, the whole trying to explain, you are not asked if you go to church, it's what church do you go to.
Correct.
Right.
Trying to explain a hell house to people out here, could not fathom what I was describing.
I know, it's very, very different.
I promise that's how it is. I some of my dance partners, most of us are queer, just because who the fuck is straight anymore anyway. But some of my dance partners were out.
They're a dying breed,
right? Y'all are. We're out they were out in high school, as gay. It was never an issue. I'm sorry, what? You were in your public,
quite a few.
In your public school in the 90s, because we're the same age, in early 2000s, you were out as gay and it was not an issue.
Nope, not here either.
I mean, it's different. Obviously, it's femmes and femme presenting and women to be out as queer is totally a different ballgame than men being out as queer. But it's still mind blowing to me. I try to explain just how I had.
We were always just encouraged to be who we were,
Yeah, no,
around here.
not if it's sinful.
No, that wasn't really an issue. That's really, it's become a recent phenomenon. I think that's ever since the whole Trump thing. Even here in Canada, you never really noticed it unless you were going to look for it.
Yeah, that was just like
and there are certain
childhood for us.
areas that had it, right? We have our little Bible belts here too, right? But
that's mostly just condensed areas of fucking Americans that have jumped the border. So that's kind of our fault too.
Well, and like, and anytime you get out of a metropolitan area, you know, it's just going to be more religious and more conservative. That's just how data works. You know, it's just how it is. And then you get into like the culty commune areas. And, but I also, my first, just talking about like trying to emphasize to non-religious people what religion in the South is like and what it is like to grow up religious. My first boyfriend was British.
Oh boy.
I know, we all make mistakes.
My apologies.
He also hated dogs. Like I said, we all make mistakes.
What the fuck? So, see.
What?
Okay. I had never
Brits.
been on a date, right? Like I felt like I told you, like feral gremlin my entire life. So like I didn't, dating for the first time when I was 19. And
were you the like mogwai or like green gremlin?
It depends on the day.
Just a little bit of water. Pre-water?
Think more like, the really upsetting dancy dudes in the labyrinth that can take off their heads and they're all like gangly and weird.
You're talking about the swamp things and they are fucking terrifying.
Kind of that.
I hate it.
Low key all the time.
Oh.
So anyway, we were he trying to explain to him like just the impact of faith and being a religious person. Like we were talking about, because he was a Quaker or whatever, which Quakers have actually been on the forefront of a lot of very important social justice movements for a long time. Like they're conscientious objectors. They fought against slavery. Like it's a very kind of weird, when I say weird, compared to other Christianity, it's kind of like this weird niche spirituality. And he was arguing with me because I was in the middle of, this was like right as I was an atheist for the first time. It was brand new. I met him right around the time I was calling myself an atheist. And we were arguing about, like, I was saying that, Noah's Ark and stuff. He's like, well, they don't literally believe that. I was like, yes, we do. Yes, we do literally believe the earth is like 5,000 years old. Yes, we do literally believe that Noah's Ark happened. Like, it's not just a metaphor. Like, you're just like, because he was, I was in my total angry, and I still am an angry atheist. Like, I'm very proud angry atheist. But when you first become an angry atheist, it's just like,
I never did that.
It's just, you're so mad.
I just get pissed off at people trying to harm people with their
and it's righteous anger. I mean, you're just so pissed off about all of it, that it's all bullshit, that you were lied to and all this shit. And so I was angry. Fuck the church and fuck Christianity. All of that's like, well, you can't really like say that, like, because people have their own spirituality.
Yeah, well, you can.
No, it's harmful. It's harmful and it's bad. And arguing back and forth. And one of my things is like, it's bad to believe in things that are not true. And then that bringing up, like Noah's Ark. Well, they don't literally believe that. Like, yes, they do. And another, it has since changed. The law has changed. But it was one day we were going to make dinner, and he wanted to get a bottle of wine for dinner. Like, you can't do that, baby. It's Sunday. Like, yeah, we'll just nip to the store and get a bottle of wine. Like, you can't. It's Sunday. It makes baby Jesus cry to buy alcohol on Sunday.
7 pounds, 6 ounce baby Jesus.
I'm sorry.
But he was like, that's not why. It's like, yes, that is why. It's like, because of faith. It's a religious fucking law. Like, it's like, they might not say that anymore, but like, that is why that's there.
Whenever my stepdad was feeling the spirit, we would lose TV on like Saturdays and Sundays and stuff. It was like, no more electronics today. I'm just like, oh, here we go again with the bullshit. I'm over here trying to beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 on my NES, and here you go with this bullshit about turning the no, we're gonna read today. I'm like, oh fuck. Now he's feeling insightful. We're gonna be stuck in this for the next 2 days.
Yeah, see, like,
you're like me.
Devotionals
in there.
We did devotionals with my parents, but once again, like, it was my home life was great. Like, my father is still a conservative Christian, and it was definitely, obviously it wasn't easy. It was tumultuous in the house, but the only real confrontation I ever had with my dad about faith was like, in that, remember when I said that, well, I should be a leader. I want to be a leader. Like, if God's compelling me to do this, then this is something I should do, because the bottom line is you have to save as many souls from hell, right? That's the bottom line. Each person that you do not convince to accept Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior is going to burn in hell for all eternity. And it will be your fault because you did not convince them. You have to, like, your whole life has to be dedicated to this. Because this is temporary. This is all. This is just shallow bullshit. This is only for the tiniest compared to eternity. And then as a child trying to comprehend eternity, and that's going to be forever and ever. So you have to spend every waking moment of your life dedicated to saving people. I thought, well, then I need to become a leader. I need to be a missionary. I need to lead services. I need to do whatever. And when my church is like, well, you can't because you got a vagina and that's wrong. Like, you know, like, it's just, you can't.
No vaginas in the pulpit.
You know, because you're a woman and you're not allowed to, because that's not the place of women in the church. And I was so apoplectically angry about it. I couldn't. And I remember I went to my father and was like, this is just so wrong. And he was like, well, you know, and because he had that, it was like a pretty neutral, he's a pretty ostrich head in the sand kind of dude when it comes to confrontation.
Yeah.
And as I said, feral raging gremlin. And so he like, there was no fight. It was just like, ah! And I think I silent treated him for 2 weeks. I was so angry. I felt so hurt and betrayed. You know, the sexism of like, you can't do that because you're a woman. You can't do it because you're a woman. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed. Like, it's so hard to describe what that feels like if you don't know what that feels like. It's just like feeling so it's so dehumanizing. It's just like so gross, and you feel it's just awful. It's a terrible feeling. And I remember like that being like the only time I ever like had a confrontation like within the family about it. And then I was out and I was gone. Bye. Like, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
I did for a brief time. I had 2 friends in high school who came out to me. They were male, and they came out to me as gay, and their family did not respond very well physically or emotionally, but that was lots of chaos in the house, and abuse and trauma. And so they lived with me my like senior year of high school, because we took them in because they weren't welcome at their house because they were gay. But they were still Christian. We were all kind of like still kind of Christian, but where do we go to church if we can still be gay and that type of thing? And we found a Unitarian church in Nashville, which was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Like,
yeah, but they're not true Christians.
Right. Like, and I did more, and you know what's, I did more humanitarian, actual, literal, physical humanitarian work and activism in the 8 months I went to that church than I ever did in the years I went to my Southern Baptist church. Like like an activism that wasn't about converting people to Christianity or evangelizing. It was like, no, we're going to do the soup kitchen, and we got to work with people experiencing homelessness. We're going to do some urban gardening. We got to go do a peace conference where we're talking about abolishing the death penalty because it's inherently racist and ableist and like blah, 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 blah. Like it was profound to me. And there were atheists that went, and there were trans people who were there, and it was okay to be gay. And it was it was not about turning people Christian. It was about how do we make the world a better place. Like, I do not have beef with Unitarian churches. I have bigger problems to worry about. You know, I definitely am like an outspoken raging atheist, but
it's in their name, unite.
Right. I don't have time or patience for that kind of like 2007 edgelord atheist who like all they want to do, they make their entire personality about like religious people are so fucking stupid. They're all awful and there's no good church. Like, okay, sure, if you want to not
like
see nuance anywhere.
That one? Like that guy?
And, you know, working with RFR, it's like we meet people where they're at, like the spectrum of non-belief. And like, anyway,
it's one of the great things about RFR.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, folks, since almost the beginning, I've had RFR's link in the description box below, because a lot of the folks that I've had on the show could use it, right? They say, you know, they seem like they're fine and stuff, but a lot of the stuff you see isn't what's really going on inside them. So I always promote that and secular therapy and stuff like that. So
yes. Secular Therapy Project. It's, you know, we are an entirely volunteer-run organization, and we would love your hard-earned dollars if you happen to have any to spare. You know, it helps us fund. We do a subsidy program for the excursion, so that if people don't have the financial ability to buy a ticket, we offer subsidies for low-income folks. So yeah, we do.
That's great.
I just like hardcore belief. I recommend and drop RFR all the time. Dr. Ray is like pretty much the greatest human being on the planet. If you don't know who Dr. Daryl Ray is, he's like just the
go back a few
guy.
episodes, and he's I like his little pink dildo thing that he's got on the book.
Yes, that, and he's also got the greatest laugh any human being has ever had possession of in the history of time.
It's very contagious. And you can hear the happiness in it too.
From 5 miles away. It's like, there's Dr. Ray. Yeah.
He's amazing. And he's got that campground, and we've talked about it a couple of times. We haven't set anything up, but I think I want to put together like a big everyone get together at Daryl Ray's campsite there, and we'll book the whole place and have some campfires for a week or something.
I know. I need to make my way there.
It'd be so much fun. So much fun to do that. And then everyone can, usually all the folks that are in my after parties and stuff, and we'll find a way to get people there one way or another. We can do a donation thing to get everyone together and go and hang out there and just get to meet the community that you're always in here hanging out with, which leads me to my next statement, by the way, Glenda. I always do an after party. So you're not obligated to be there, but I know there's going to be folks that want to pop in and say,
oh, I'm totally available. I don't got anything else to do tonight. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're sweet. That's great. All right.
Yeah. Plus, I've got Kitty hostage right now. She's on my lap, so I can't get up.
Can't move. Kitty in my lap. Sorry, boss. I can't commit today.
I would love to do the little camping trip, but I just have this allergic reaction to sleeping outside.
It's okay. There are cabins.
Okay, cabin I can work with. Now you almost said tent, and I was like, the tent's outside.
Listen.
There's no door, so it's not a building. So.
I have a chronic injury that makes, if I don't sleep on a bed, it's excruciating. My partner is disabled. We both need to have beds.
Yes.
And so we are but we love camping and we love the outdoors. So we have a cot with mattress pads that we put on it. Because that's how we don't sleep on the ground. Like it's
I don't. I hate I have an air mattress that's like fucking 3.5 feet thick. I need a little step ladder to get onto my air mattress.
Air mattresses make me feel like I'm sleeping on a pool float. I hate it, and it's painful. I need to have like actual mattress pads.
Pool float. Yes. Well, this thing's pretty firm. I got like one of them firm ones.
It's like a little flamingo. You're just
flamingo. No way, man. I got like an Optimus Prime one.
It's like it's the donut from The Simpsons, the little pink frosted donut. You're just in there.
Yeah. Good time. My floaty is made out of Lego.
Right.
I like the unicorn ones, the pegacorns. They got like the wings and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't. My experience with pools is like Vegas pool clubs and like modeling at them. I don't get in the water, so. It's not why I'm there
either.
It's not why I'm there, and gross.
Yeah.
And we aim to have a camping trailer in the future. Yeah, that's the way to go. That's glamping. That's what they call that, glamping.
Yeah, I can't wait this summer, my goal is to hustle as much money as I possibly can because I want to put it all towards getting a little teardrop trailer. That's what I want. That is my dream.
Those are nice little trailers.
Mm-hmm. I want a little guy Max.
I want to rent an RV and maybe drive down to Daryl's place, but then I'm having these in the back of my head thoughts of Judgment Night, so I don't know if I want to rent an RV. So.
See, that's why. Listen, am I driving this trailer? No, that's what my partner is for. Like I will take care of other stuff, but not. No.
Have you guys not seen Judgment Night, the movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. No wonder you didn't catch that. The soundtrack is phenomenal. You get like Onyx and Pearl Jam working together. You get all like the rock and rap boys working together to make the soundtrack. But anyway, well, Glenda, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story with us.
This way.
It was wonderful having you on. Gesundheit, Maggie.
Sorry.
It's great having you on. And
thank you.
That's
I feel like
your
I did a
art in
lot
the
of
background.
chaotic. I feel like I did a lot of chaotic,
Correct.
just rambling.
That's okay. That's okay.
What did
We
you
tell
say
our
was
stories
correct?
How we want to. That's your artwork in the background all over this?
Oh yes, all of this.
Can be yours for the low price.
Actually, well, no, this one she's sold, but
Okay.
all of the rest of these are available. I would love for somebody to buy this. Let's see if I can change the light. Oh, this owl painting
This
is
gorgeous.
oil on canvas, and she is for sale. It's in my store.
How much?
It's $8,000.
No, I don't have enough.
I mean, I spent over 100 hours on it, and it's 36 by 48 inches, and it's oil on canvas. So it's actually not to compare myself, but if you go into some bougie like Park City art gallery and look at paintings on a wall that are this size, like you're looking at $32,000 or something. So
You're getting it for
this
a
is
deal.
a steal.
New 75% off sale.
I mean, there's a reason why, like the rest of this work, these acrylic pieces, like I have work ranging from like $5 to $250 to $300 to the $8K. So I have a broad spectrum of things. But yes, this is my studio. This is where I do RFRX, and it's where I live most of the time and make my work and draw and paint.
I am also, I really like I think it looks like a mask or something up there at the top, the black with the green and orange and red.
Hold on. I know. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Here, wait, this one.
Yes. I really like
You know what this is? Are you nerd enough to know what this is?
I know what it is.
It's
And
from.
I don't have the batteries in it.
Isn't
Yeah, it's Majora's Mask from Zelda. This is available. It's UV reactive, so the eyes glow.
Cool.
On panel. Okay,
Okay, we'll talk because I could spend money on that for sure.
Yeah, I really like. I mean, I'm obsessed with Majora's Mask. It's one of the greatest Zelda games ever made. I have several Zelda pieces. Like over there is that's from Skyward Sword. That's the Gate of Time from Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
Big Zelda nerd. Anyone want to talk about Tears of the Kingdom?
Last one I played was on. I've dabbled a little bit some of the newer ones, but the last one I actually played was on the 64.
Okay, so there were two titles on the 64: Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's the greatest game ever made.
The last one I played.
I have an original cartridge release before they changed the music in the Fire Temple. That's how much of it. I know.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I had that one too, but I gave it to my ex-wife's kids, so I'm like stupid now.
Do you know how special that is?
I know.
It's like really special.
I know.
It's okay.
My green screen's on, but I don't know why you nerds are talking about.
No, I can see it. I have two.
Ocarina of
No,
Time.
I posted a picture of on the 35th anniversary of Zelda of like my collection of Zelda merch is getting a little out of control, and the amount of crap that I own that is Zelda related is quite a bit. Miss Whiskers is trying to get my pizza leftovers, and you're not allowed to do that. No, Kitty, no.
All the rules.
Kitty, damn humans, you'll be the death of me.
She's
They
pretty
do
food
nothing.
focused.
Is she calico?
She's a tortico.
Tortico.
Yes, she was this is my campground kitty. She was abandoned in a campground because people are assholes and they dump their pets, and that's where I found her. She's my senior lady. Yeah. And I have a polydactyl cat too. He's somewhere. He's got thumbs.
Oh, that's what that is, like the Hemingway cat or whatever.
Yes, Hemingway cats. I don't know, what a weird little factoid about Hemingway and his obsession with
weird factoid about calicos. Like 90+% of them are female.
Mm-hmm. Whereas most ginger cats are male.
Yeah.
Genetics.
Except the ginger cat I had, I thought was male, turned out to be a female because she had kittens. That's like
Fine. Was there any other question that I didn't answer, or like a rambling that I?
One more. If you could go back in time and talk to previous Christian you, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Oh God.
Run.
Escape.
I guess I would say like that little voice in your head is you, and it is correct. Do you know that song? It's If It's Not God by Maddie Zam. It's just about, thinking that you're hearing, like, is this God in my head? Am I hearing God? Am I feeling God? Because that was what led, I was always a bleeding heart SJW. I mean, I was always, interested in social justice and being compassionate, and I wanted to always do the right thing, and realizing like that was me. That was my humanity. That's you. And that's a really wonderful thing. It's not, God is what making you a better person is. It's you making yourself a better person and striving for goodness and being right and helping others and altruism in general. I guess that's what I would have. And I would have just been like, it's really, really dope on the other side. You're going to love dancing in your underwear for money.
A couple of quick questions from the chat before we close out and go to the after party. Andrew wants to know how old the senior lady is.
This one? I don't know how old she was when I got her. She could have been 2. She could have been 5. She's at least 12.
Okay.
But she's spry. She runs around the house all the time.
I know we got a 14-year-old in the other room that's the same way. Still does the 3 a.m. crazies running around.
The greebles. That's when they have to fight the greebles. That's what that term is.
Okay.
There's a whole subreddit called Greebles. If you're not on it, get on it. It's great. It's just the whole thing of like cats like freaking out about nothing. Because it's the invisible creatures, the greebles, that they have to fight with.
I don't know if the greebles pull their whiskers or what, but both cats will just be sitting there. They'll look at you and then completely lose their minds.
Yeah, greebles.
For about 3 minutes. And then they'll come back and they'll be like, what the hell happened to me? I'm like, I don't know. You just started sprinting and clawing. I didn't know what to do, so I just ran in my office and closed the door.
Yeah, greebles. When they like freak out and they like hold and pause and then just like greeble attacks.
And they do the Halloween cat pose where their back is arched and tail.
That's another subreddit that I'm in. That's called Crab Cats. I'm not. She does it. They don't. Neither Jack or Miss Whiskers. Neither of them do the crab cats. But it's
amusing to watch. One more quick question. Dave just wanted to know if you make your own jewelry.
No, I do not. I just I collect and hoard them, like to make another Labyrinth reference, like the whatever the hoardy creatures were when she's like, oh, don't forget your pencil box. Oh, you love your pencil box. And they've got their whole back full of crap. That's me with things that I don't need. But jewelry, I painted this bracelet, but no, I just collected over time. You have to.
Her name was the Junk Lady, and also An Inconvenient Truth came out in 2006.
There you go. Thank you so much for those clarifications. Yeah, I do. I mean, like, I make some stuff. I craft some things, but none of this jewelry. I bought this from like Etsy or something. But I have to. because we have to wear jewelry for work or whatever, I lose it. Sometimes rings fly off on stage or whatever the hell. So I just hoard amounts of junk jewelry, just have a lot of it.
Awesome. All right, we're going to get into the after party. So all you guys out there in the chat, first of all, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Really appreciate it.
And if you'd like to be in the after party, just let me know. Myself or Mikey, give us a link and or give us a DM and we'll give you a link. Oh, man, I'm Trouth Mubbles. And we'll get into the after party real soon. So thanks everyone out there on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube here. Also, thanks to my amazing patrons. Couldn't do this without you guys.
Yay! People who give money are the best.
You guys
I don't
rock.
really ask for a lot. I think my highest is like $5 or something.
Listen, every amount counts.
That's right. That's right.
Word.
And I appreciate that people actually want to support it. So, but I think what we do here is important.
Yes.
So,
If y'all have not listened to Deirdre's story, it's like the second to last video you did. It was right around Thanksgiving or whatever. Please go watch that video. It's incredible. Her story needs to be turned into a movie.
Yeah, that's what I said too. Hers is.
I'm desperate to talk to her. I want to know. Like, I think I'm going to reach out to see if she's be willing to give an R4X lecture, because like
she would. I guarantee you she would.
Oh my God, my mind is blown. I'm so impressed.
She would absolutely.
My journey was definitely easier. I didn't have to walk 5 miles to a payphone.
Yeah, well, look. I mean, if I think about it, you had a great mom. Gail's
the best mommy.
Right?
Best mommy. Everyone knows if you've met Gail, she's the here. You want to get down? Okay.
She's
Gail
awesome.
Jordan is my mother. She's the best.
All right. Once again, guys, we're going to do the after party. If you want to be involved, let us know. We'll get you a link. You can jump in here and meet this wonderful lady here, Glenda.
Yeah.
And that's about it, guys. And yes, don't worry, I won't forget the outro this time. I was off for like a month and I completely forgot to run the outro in the last one. So I suck at this. Anyway, until next time, guys, like I always say at the end of the interview, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.
Drinking one to Hitchens.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye.